Boker Tov, everybody. So this week's parsha is Terumah, and I think it's an interesting juxtaposition because last week, Mishpatim, we had all these laws, right? And if you look at all these laws, it can seem maybe a little dry to be getting all these laws at once, right? Here we have Terumah. It's a very stark contrast because Terumah is the instruction for our people to build God a sanctuary. It's the beginning of that part of the story, which gets a little interrupted and continued later. So this part of the story, building God a sanctuary, I think it's really interesting because why would we do that? Why does God need us to build God a sanctuary? And I think part of it is, well, it's for a couple of reasons. One reason is that it's an opportunity for us to take some action, right? Because in the Exodus story, God has been the one taking so much action on our behalf in redeeming us from slavery and in enacting all of the plagues, in coming down in pillars of smoke and fire to deter the Egyptian army following after us, in splitting the sea for us to cross on dry land. There's so many actions that God has taken on our behalf. And here we have an opportunity to take actions ourselves to show honor for God. And I think that there's another reason too. We need a physical reminder sometimes of God's presence, right? And here was an opportunity for God to even show God's presence to us, indwelling among us. And in doing so, God wanted to have a space that was beautiful. God wanted to have a space that was beautiful, both for us and for God to appreciate. Because right after all these laws, right, we have the laws and we have an understanding of how we should be building a just society. And we also have an opportunity to appreciate beauty. That's something that God values, and that's something that we're meant to value as well. It's something that we automatically value. It's we are, after all, in God's image, and we, just as God appreciates beauty, so do we. So the materials that we construct the sanctuary with are beautiful. Gold and silver and special dyed wools and precious jewels and all of these things that are made for us to look at and appreciate, and that God also wants to look at and appreciate and bring God's presence down to dwell among us. So we don't have the same things today that we had back then, but when we have our Jewish ritual objects, we imbue them with beauty because they are a lasting reminder of God's presence in our lives as we enact the mitzvot, as we enact Jewish ritual, which is sort of the modern day equivalent of the sanctuary that we build. Because not just in the sanctuary that we build here physically, that we pray in, but also the sanctuary we build in our homes for God, for ourselves. So we take those moments, we take those objects, and we appreciate them because they're beautiful. And even if they are homemade, even if they are made by a child, and they become beautiful because we appreciate them too. So as we move into a new month, I hope we can use the opportunity here for us to reflect on moments and items of beauty in our lives, because just as important as it is to build a just society, it's important to pause and to reflect on beauty in the world and how we can bring that down to dwell among us.